Uh, yeah, thank you. As you know, the nutrition problem is very multidimensional. The agriculture, health, the other women empowerment and all. We all know the importance of all these factors. But I will be speaking, I was asked to speak on food security programs and the impact on nutrition. I am aware of other the determinants of nutrition. So I'll be, in the next 10 minutes, I'll be speaking on three things. First, on India's food security programs like Mahatma Gandhi NREGA and also PDS briefly. I will not touch much on ICDS and midday meal schemes. First is, what is the evidence on the impact of these programs on nutrition? This government is spending on these two programs, NREGA and PDS, almost 1 lakh crores on this. So what is the impact on the nutrition? Second, how to make these programs more nutrition sensitive? Because I know the other factors are important, health, drinking water, other things, but each factor, how do you improve, how to make it nutrition sensitive. In the end, I will also touch 1 or 2 minutes on food prices and agriculture and nutrition. So what is the evidence impact of NREGM on nutrition? Some evidence apart from the field studies. There is a Young Lives project using the panel data longitudinal studies done for Andhra Pradesh. It shows that they estimate the impact of NREGS on children in participating households, particularly on nutrition, and also incidence of child labor. They find a positive correlation between program participation and anthropometric scores, the nutrition aspects. And also they find a robust result on child labor, decline in child labor due to NREGS. And many field surveys also show that the contribution of NREGA to total income is around 10% or something. But it has very significant contributions to children's well-being in terms of the reducing hunger, improving health and education. Basically, the pathways from NREGA's nutrition, there is no direct one. One is income effect. Second is women's well-being. Third is the direct effects of child care facilities at the work sites. That's also equally important. If you see, so it's a lifeline for the poor. They said almost 67% said it has reduced their hunger due to NREGA, so which has impact on the nutrition aspect. The another impact is increase in agriculture wages, because in the morning we are talking about the poorest or agriculture laborers. Due to NREGA, agriculture wages have increased, so that has improved their diets. Also, there is a diversification in their diets. So that is another impact. In fact, earlier they were getting 40 rupees, 50 rupees wages. Now they are getting 100 rupees or more in several places. And also, of course, there is a financial inclusion aspect also. People have opened bank accounts, the post offices also. Another success of NREGS is the participation of women, because the reservation is 33%, but women are participating 50% now in NREGA. And field surveys show that almost 18% income they are getting from NREGA, and that has broadened the choices and capabilities of NREGA's women. And also some women we interviewed, they said earlier they were not eating vegetables and others. Now, with the income effect, they are eating vegetables and other diversified diets. These are the evidence. And what should be done to improve NREGS? Lots of problems are there. The corruption problems, delay in payments, and the capacity building, all kinds of problems you can see in NREGS. But one can improve because some of the states like Andhra Pradesh, Rajasthan, they have done well in NREGS. One is, if you want to improve agriculture productivity, the quality of NREGS works have to be improved. Because the ultimate potential is not only the present income, but also sustainability of agriculture. In fact, now the NRES works are allowed not only SC/ST lands, but also small and marginal farmers, others. So this can, if it is done properly, it can improve the productivity of the small and marginal farmers and diet diversification. And on women, it shows that there is a potential to reduce the drudgery of women due to village development and help in raising child well-being. The NRES works can improve health status of village population and education status in the villages. Also available clean potable drinking water, construction of drainage. So all these things can be done under NREGS, which can improve the village development and improvement. And on the other aspect of the role of women, if you see, the share of women is lower in NREGS where the malnutrition is high. So there is a need for increase in the women's role in NREGS in these states. On the other aspects, the nutrition programs, the performance of ICDS, it's not satisfactory. The Young Lives data shows on midday meal schemes, again, there is a correlation between anthropometric scores and the midday meal schemes in Andhra Pradesh data only. And the PDS, the bottom line on PDS is that access to PDS is lower, particularly in the where malnutrition levels are high. And also, if you see the consumption, only 11% of the consumption is due to PDS at the aggregate level. Of the total food grain consumption, only 11% is from PDS. In the southern states, it's much higher. I've given in my note. And lots of inefficiency and leakages. It is true that Tamil Nadu, Chhattisgarh model have improved, but there are basically three opinions. The right to food, one is, the Rangarajan Commission says we stick to Tendulkar Committee estimates, and National Advisory Council says 75%. And the third right to food campaign, which presented by also Himanshu, universal PDS, and also include nutrition programs in that. Of course, the fourth one is the cash transfers, thing which Chief Economic Advisor is talking about, food coupons kind of thing. In fact, NREGA is like a conditional cash transfer. Condition is, the work is the condition. And it is true that some places it has worked well. For example, PDS in Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Kerala, Chhattisgarh, midday meal schemes in Tamil Nadu, NREGA in Andhra Pradesh, Rajasthan have done well. But what are the reasons? Because their political commitment, governance, and the institutions played an important role for success of these programs, which may or may not be replicated in other states. And finally, last 1 or 2 minutes, on food prices and the agriculture. Food price inflation certainly adversely affects the poor, as majority are net purchasers of food. And the coping mechanisms can have short-term and long-term effects on nutrition, because reducing expenditure on non-cereal food, like pulses, vegetables, meat, and other things can have long-term effects. And also withdrawing children from school also have some impact. On the food price inflation, present one, people are blaming me for food price inflation, but I want to make it a record straight that the present food inflation is due to non-MSP crops. It is more fruits, vegetables, and milk and other things, not due to what the rice and wheat, what we increased. But we increased the prices, rice and wheat, but farmers also supply response was there. But only thing is now I'm out of the government, I can say that the food management was not very, very good. So that is one of the problems of the government. We have accumulated food grains, but we have not managed the prices. And on agriculture, lastly, basically, I want to say two things. The government is to focus now on the small and marginal farmers in the 12th 5-year plan. and also resource-poor areas, where dryland agriculture, rain-fed agriculture is important, and then where malnutrition is higher. For example, as I said in the morning, Madhya Pradesh 60%, Jharkhand 59%, Bihar 59%, Chhattisgarh, Uttar Pradesh 48% and all. So where agriculture can improve some of these things, the focus has to be on these two things in the next decade or so, small and marginal farmers and resource-poor farmers, if you want to strengthen the agriculture nutrition linkages in India. And finally, about 1 minute on Tandy project. See, the Tandy project, we are saying that agriculture is one of the important things for nutrition, but it alone cannot solve. In fact, what we are saying is that it can do much more than what it is present, the relationship. So that's what exactly we are saying. And not saying that health and other factors, in fact, health factors are very important for malnutrition point of view. So one has to keep in mind that we are saying it can be done much more than present now. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mahendra, for setting a very good standard, just exactly in 10 minutes. And what I would suggest, let's first go to the responses from the panel, and then we will open the floor. So may I have the pleasure of inviting Dr. Shiva Kumar with a special request. You are coming from UNICEF. What are the best global practices that can be beneficial to Indian situation?
How many minutes are you giving me?
Well, 5 minutes.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. Let me begin by making 2 comments on the morning discussion. I was listening to it. First, of course, I think we all agree that food is not the same thing as nutrition. And so every time we cite PDS or the offtake of PDS and try to link it with levels of nutrition, there are lots of intermediating factors which we saw. So I think that we should not mistake either the food security assurance or the food entitlements assurance with nutrition. The second clarification, and I think this is an important one, since the National Advisory Council was cited in the morning, the NAC proposals are universal in nature. They are not excluding anybody. Now, Himanshu did say that we are trying to exclude certain proportion. That's not correct. The wording is at least 90% of rural population, at least 50% of urban population, and for the general category, at a price not exceeding 50% of the MSP, which is the minimum support price. So in other words, by arguing that it is at least, it keeps the option open for universal extension from 90% to 100%. If the food production improves and if the conditions are good, you can even go higher in the rural areas. And if the financial conditions are good, you can give it at the same price. So in a sense, it respects the spirit that in a society that is offering legal entitlements, everybody should get the same amount of food at the same price, regardless of who they are and where they are. And we strongly believe that when it comes to food, health, and education, if we are a progressive society, it's fine that things are changing. That basic protection should be there. And if we do believe the growth figures of this country and the great rapid strides, one would expect that there would be an extraordinary amount of self-selection. And even nobody will take any food from the public distribution system because, mind you, this is not basmati rice that is being given to people. So as more and more people switch to basmati rice and higher forms of rice, they will have larger self-selection. Again, coming back to the question, I want to make 3 comments, and I'll be very brief. One is that, whatever we say, I think we have to look at the nutrition question in the context of very high levels of deprivation and extensive poverty in this country. So, we had the Arjun Sengupta committee report that said 77% of Indians spend less than 20 rupees a day. People contest that, but several village studies, in fact, there's a very good group called the Foundation for Agrarian Studies. They're doing a whole series of intensive village studies, and their studies in Andhra Pradesh, they've looked at Anantavaram and 3 other villages. It shows that the household and per capita rural incomes, the daily per capita median income is 20 rupees. So it's not very different from what the other figures are telling us. There's very high inequalities in the distribution of household incomes. In the same village, 10% of the households account for almost 55% of total income. And the bottom, the 40% of households account for only 7% of household income. So it is extensive, the level of poverty that we're talking about. The plight of the peasants, most of them are agricultural laborers, is again very, very sad. They're highly vulnerable, deprived, and discriminated against. The data again shows that income from crop cultivation is also extremely low. In fact, 29 to 36% of households in these villages incurred losses in crop production. So the picture, and when we're talking about agriculture, we have to also recognize that a large number of these people are farmer consumers, that the production side is really poor in terms of incomes that they're getting. Extent of landlessness and inequality in the distribution of land ownership is extremely high. So if you're really talking of reforms, increasing agricultural production, productivity, we really have to keep the focus on poor people, on the peasants, and see how, through systems of land reforms and other measures, you can enhance their economic capacities. Added to this, so there's an economic access question when you talk about food. There's also a social access question. And in all these villages, consistently you will find that the Adivasis and the Muslim households are really at the bottom of the ladder when it comes to incomes. In the villages in Andhra Pradesh, only 5% of Adivasi households had toilets, and 4% had sources of safe drinking water. So in terms of the vision and picture of India, one has to be really clear that you can't get mesmerized by what you see around you in Delhi and in other places, but you really go to these villages and it really hits you in the face now. The second point I wanted to touch on was, again, looking at when you're talking about nutrition, the reference was made to the position of women. I think that's extremely important, and I want to flag that if you look at the interstate differentials, 3 states, Sikkim, Manipur, and Kerala, report the lowest levels of undernutrition, between 20 and 23%. And in these states, the achievements of women are much better. The freedoms that women enjoy are much better than in the other 3 states, Bihar, Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, that Mahendra was talking, where levels of undernutrition are 57 to 60%. And you take many of the indicators, age at marriage, access to education, even the BMI, everything is much better. But also it shows in these societies, very interestingly, I was looking, since you have brought me into the food debate, the NFHS had an interesting table on percentage of population 15 to 49 who consume fish or chicken or meat at least once a week. And you'll find that in Sikkim, Manipur, Kerala, there's not much of a difference between men and women, whereas in Bihar, there's almost a 10 percentage point. That is, women eat much less in terms of access to this thing. So that's an important issue to keep looking at. But linked to the women's question is also the question of care. That when you're talking about working women, the kind of facilities we have for childcare and for nutritional well-being of pregnant women and women in general is a neglected area. The last point, and I'm going to really wind up, is that we can't end any discussion without reference to health. I think we have to really focus on health. I'm part of a group that is looking at universal health coverage in India, and the fundamental problem in the area of health is the abysmally low levels of public investments. That we are spending a tenth of public spending in India is 25% of what Sri Lanka spends. It's 10% of what China spends. So if you're really talking of improving the nutritional status, we have to do massive investments in health and really look at improving people's access to health. Financial protection is a strong element of it. It's a major cause of impoverishment. No amount of food in terms will help unless the health conditions improve so that the absorption improves as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's great having such a panel